Hello students! Today we are going to discuss about the current trends and issues in the tourism and hospitality industry. Are you ready? Let's begin. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to discuss the social and economic changes that suggest a bright future for the tourism and hospitality industry. Be familiar with the specific issues that owner and managers of the tourism and hospitality establishments are likely to face in the following areas: marketing, legal, human resources, operations, and consumer affairs. And identify the steps taken by the owners and managers of tourism and hospitality entities to address the major issues confronting the industry. So now let's talk about the bright future of tourism and hospitality. In recent years, a number of significant social and economic changes have occurred that suggest a bright future for the tourism and hospitality industry. These are early retirement, longer lifespan, shorter work week, greater disposable income, greater mobility, and smaller families. So first, let's talk about the early retirement. At present, many workers retire at an earlier age than the case in previous years. The U.S. Social Security system provides benefits to workers as young as 62 years of age, and many employee retirement programs are based on years of service rather than on age. In some retirement programs, specifically government programs, it is possible to work 25 or 30 years and receive benefits at the age of 55 or younger. The increasing number of people who retire early is beneficial for the tourism and hospitality industry because these people use their time to travel and see the world. Next is a longer lifespan. The average individual can now expect to live beyond the age of 70, and many will live longer. This is in contrast to earlier generations when the average lifespan was much less. The increasing population of older, retired citizens who are richer due to pension programs and are healthier provides a larger base of potential customers for tourism and hospitality operations. Next is shorter work week. In the past, the 6-day work week was the standard for most working people. At present, the 5-day work week is standard and the 4-day work week is becoming common, leaving several days for other activities. The resulting increase in leisure time, combined with faster and easier transportation, makes possible for many individuals to take weekend vacations and travel to a degree they could not have made a few years ago. The tourism and hospitality industry will surely benefit from this increase in travel. Next is higher disposable income. The average family has more money to spend than before. This is due to higher wages and two-earner households. A large portion of the additional disposable income is spent on consumer goods and services. The tourism and hospitality operations receive an important share of it. Next is greater mobility. Improved roads and better transportation make it easier to travel every year. The modern highway system has reduced the time required for automobile travel between any two points. New planes use new technologies which enable them to carry more passengers while using less fuel. These increases in travel have a positive impact on tourism and hospitality industry sales. And lastly is smaller families. The average family size has decreased. Thus, it is easier for the family to travel, and travel costs less if few family members travel. So now let's go to the issues in tourism and hospitality. Although the future of the tourism and hospitality industry is bright, It is not without problems. Those pursuing careers in tourism and hospitality will find it necessary to obtain knowledge with regard to a number of issues that the industry must face in the future. Some have been issues for many years, but no final solutions have been found. Others are emerging issues brought about by social, economic, and technological change. These issues can be categorized under the following headings. We have marketing issues, legal issues, human resource issues, operations issues, and consumer affairs issues. So first, let's go to the marketing issues. The marketing issues are changing demographics, changing vacation patterns, market segmentation, frequent guests programs, maturation in segments of the fast food industry, and consolidation. So first is the changing demographics. The population of the developed countries is aging. The median is now 33 years and is projected to increase in the coming years. This is an issue that is significant to the tourism and hospitality industry. An older population has preferences that differ from those of a younger population. Thus, service providers will find it necessary to adjust their service products to the changing preferences of the market. Another changing demographic characteristic is the increase in the number of single-parent households. Single-parent households generally have lower levels of discretionary income. To reach this market, service providers will have to develop new service products that will appeal to this demographic segment at affordable prices. A third demographic change is the continuing growth in the number of people traveling for personal rather than for business purposes. Approximately 74% of domestic travelers travel primarily for a non-business purpose. This group is responsible for the increased percentage of the travel market in the past 45 years, and the growth is sure to continue. The fourth demographic change is the growth in the number of international travelers. One of the primary reasons is the decreased cost of transportation relative to income, making travel more affordable to everyone. Another is increased vacation time and a greater number of holidays in many countries. Next is the changing vacation patterns. Citizens of industrialized countries are changing their vacation patterns. The traditional once-a-year vacation of 2 weeks is declining in popularity. For a growing number of people, vacations are becoming shorter and more frequent. At present, more people usually plan mini vacations, adding 2 of their annual vacation days to a 3-day holiday weekend. In this way, they manage to get away for a mini vacation of 5 days while using only 2 actual vacation days. Next is market segmentation. Since 1980, the principal term in tourism marketing has been marketing segmentation. Until the late 1970s, lodging establishments attempted to appeal to broad general markets. Their aim was to appeal to a broad group of potential visitors. In recent years, the success of the limited service properties has led to the development of other properties intended to appeal to a selected segments. Some of the types of lodge properties to become apparent include all-suite properties, residence properties, sub-budget properties, and a variety of budget properties which differ by their varying services and amenities. Examples of market segmentation have been evident in food service in the past 10 years. A number of restaurants that additionally offered extensive something for everyone menus has began to see reductions in business as customers have chosen to patronize restaurants offering specialized service products. As new market segments are identified, properties designed to appeal to those segments are likely to be developed. Next is the frequent guest programs. Because of the proliferation of properties and the increasing competition among them, some lodging operators have begun to develop programs to gain repeat business. Modeled on the frequent flyer programs, which were successfully used by many airline companies, these plans give credits to regular guests. They can be redeemed in the form of reduced rates, upgrades, free accommodations, free meals, or any variety of amenities. As competition becomes keener, the number of these kinds of programs will certainly grow. Many believe that these programs will gain in the lodging business the same before they have achieved among airline customers. Next is maturation in segments of the fast food industry. Segments of the fast food industry are no longer expanding to the extent that was formerly possible. The demand for hamburger is not growing as fast it once did, so operators find it necessary to develop new products to maintain the desired sales level. At present, establishments that previously offered few products other than hamburgers now offer pizza, salads, poultry, or other meat products. As public tastes continue to change, food service operators will have to develop specialty products to retain an adequate share of the market. Next is consolidation in the commercial lodging industry. Some experts are now predicting that the number of large nationwide lodging companies will decrease in the coming years. That a small number of firms will dominate the lodging industry by acquiring smaller chains or regional or national properties. This will enable successful companies to obtain the funds required to expand their operations internationally. The trend toward consolidation will have a tremendous impact on all commercial lodging operations, both independent operation and owners of smaller chains will find it difficult to compete with heavily advertised national and international brands. Now let's go to the legal issues. So the legal issues are liquor liability and ethics in the tourism and hospitality industry. So first is liquor liability. In the past, there was a growing public concern over the increasing number of alcohol-related automobile accidents. At present, alcohol and the use of drugs is a factor in more than half of all automobile accidents. This led the public to pressure state legislatures to act. Legislators have responded by lowering the levels of blood alcohol in which an individual is considered intoxicated and by increasing penalties on offenders. In addition, several states in the U.S. have imposed new regulations on the serving of alcoholic beverages. In one U.S. state, new regulations have made the discounting of drinks, the so-called happy hour, is illegal. In several states, establishments and their owners can be held financially accountable if they serve alcoholic beverages to an intoxicated individual who causes damage or injury after leaving the establishment. In some places, this has caused tremendous increase in the cost of liability insurance. This prompted some bar owners to go out of business. It has also caused some restaurant owners to stop serving alcoholic beverages. Some restaurant and bar owners have changed their market strategies. They now feature and promote non-alcoholic drinks. As societal attitudes toward alcoholic drinks continue to change, it will be necessary for food service and lodging operators to adjust. Next is ethics. So ethics is an academic discipline that deals with the study of codes of moral conduct practiced by individuals or groups. Business ethics refer to the application of a particular moral code to relationships, activities, and discussions made by individuals in business or industry. It is the code that enables the individual in business to distinguish right from wrong. To differentiate between ethical and unethical behavior, ethics in the tourism and hospitality industry has been the issue for thousands of years. The business practices of some operators of tourism and hospitality establishments are questionable. For example, a manager of a new restaurant may hire 20 waiters, but intends to keep only the 12 most able after the second week of operation. An owner may fail to report all sales on his income tax returns. Another one is a tour guide may cheat on his income tax by failing to report all his tips. Another owner may cheat on his taxes by charging personal expenses to the business. And moreover, an employee in the purchasing department may accept gifts from vendors in return for buying inferior products. And business ethics is likely to remain forever in the list of tourism and hospitality issues. Now let's move on to the human resource issues. Some of the human resource issues are sexual harassment, employee turnover, employee assistance plans, and employee empowerment. Sexual harassment may be defined as unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of sexual nature that take place under any of the following conditions. First is submission is made a condition of the person's employment. Next is submission to or rejection of such conduct is used as a basis for employment discussions affecting the person, and it unreasonably interferes with a person's work performance or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Most cases of sexual harassment involve complaints by females about co-workers or superiors. In the last 10 years, the number of cases has grown because an increasing number of women have become willing to speak out. Because employers are liable for the actions of their employees at work, it is very important for employers to take the following steps. So first, institute a strict policy banning all forms of sexual harassment in the workplace. Develop appropriate training programs for managers and employees so that all will understand and become sensitive to the nature of sexual harassment, and establish procedures for handling all complaints promptly, fairly, and in a sensitive manner. Next is employee turnover. So employee turnover is one of the major issues confronting managers of tourism and hospitality enterprises. With turnover rates averaging approximately 100% per year, managers are always faced with the problem of losing experienced employees and hiring less experienced employees as replacements. Faced with inexperienced replacements, several managers believe they have only two choices: to shoulder the high training costs associated with developing new employees into efficient workers, or to incur the equally high costs associated with working with untrained employees. Very few realize that there is a third alternative to retain valuable employees and reduce turnovers. Many managers in the tourism and hospitality industry understand the requirements to reduce turnovers. These include adequate wages and benefits, reasonable working conditions, reasonable work schedules, and reasonable treatment of employees by managers. However, only few managers put these requirements into practice. Several managers and employers still treat their employees as if they were parts of a big wheel rather than people. They hire workers at the lowest possible wages, fail to provide proper training, then admonish them for not doing their work correctly. They assign workers schedules without taking into account the workers' personal preferences, change the schedules of the workers without previous notice, and order them to report for work on their day off. Then managers complain about employees who resign to accept equal jobs with other employers. Next is Employee Assistance Plans, or EAP. Employee assistance plans are included in the discussion of major issues in the tourism and hospitality industry because they are one of the secular steps to pay attention regarding the problems of their employees. The problems of those employed in the tourism and hospitality industry include psychological problems, family issues, financial problems, legal issues, health, as well as educational issues. The tourism and hospitality manager who establishes EAPs to benefit employees will eventually develop a more loyal workforce, one that is willing to make a great effort to attain the operational goals of the enterprise. In addition, the manager who helps the employees will reduce employee turnover. Next is employee empowerment. In some tourism and hospitality establishments, managers have developed rules and procedures that employees are directed to follow. These include directives such as inflexible rules for checkout time, rules prohibiting free refills on coffee, strict limits on the number of hand towels per guest, or directives prohibiting substitutions on special dinner menus. These may affect the overall impression of a guest regarding a particular food service or lodging enterprise. For some guests, these rules may be enough to make them decide never to return. Many owners and managers have realized the ineffectiveness of setting strict rules governing every detail of guest service. Thus, they now set policies that are guest-oriented. They empower their employees to make decisions that will improve the quality of service to guests without having a negative impact on operations. Now let's go to the operations issues. The operation issues include automation, smoking or non-smoking areas, sanitation and public health, and recycling solid waste. So first is automation. It is the process of using electronic and mechanical equipment and machinery to complete some or all of the tasks associated with a given enterprise. So the two primary reasons for automating an enterprise are to increase the speed of work and to reduce the cost of work. Automation in travel industry is here to stay. Computerization will affect the industry principally in three areas, namely communications, interactive CRTs, and elimination of tickets. So first is communications. Business travelers frequently change their itineraries to suit their changing requirements. Much time at present is lost in making alternative arrangements through vendors or distributors from payphones, hotel rooms, or secretaries' phones. Portable communication data units or PCDUs is a portable telephone or computer, allows a business traveler to communicate with any travel entity from any place including airplanes and rearrange or reconfirm his travel plane. Next is interactive CRTs. Interactive television is now being used in some cities. Within a few more years, more cities will be using it. It is possible that much of the order placement process will be shifted to interactive television. Specific order forms can be programmed into a database that can be accessed by any number of users. If calls are reduced to 1/3 by interactive CRTs, travel counselors will be reaching productivity levels of $2.5 million to $5 million per annum each. Hence, the cost of getting a traveler on an airplane, into a hotel, or a car is highly reduced, and the profitability of the distribution system, as well as the cost to the traveler, is maximized. And lastly is elimination of tickets. So there is no longer a need for the traveler to carry an actual document for an airplane seat or a hotel reservation. A traveler may place the order about his impending trip on his interactive television and insert his travel card into the appropriate slot on the side of the console. After all arrangements and confirmations have been made, the computer magnetically codes his card. The traveler arrives at the airport, goes to the appropriate gate, and as he enters the airplane, right before he hangs up his carry-on bag, there is a slot into which he simply sticks his card. If the response is positive, he presses a button and a receipt pops out of the wall. So one of the biggest problems of agents nowadays is how to find the most efficient way to deliver the traveler's documents. The elimination of tickets has been the biggest impact on the distribution system because the role of the agent is a trustee is eliminated. Consequently, the order taker only agent will also be eliminated. At present, some food service and lodging establishments have automated to the extent that guests and customers no longer have direct contact with any staff member. There are lodging operations in which a guest inserts a credit card in an electronic device, enabling him to check in without speaking to the room clerk at a desk. Checkout can be done through a touch-sensitive screen on the television set in the guest room. Food and beverages can be taken from vending machines. It is interesting to note that food service and lodging establishments have tended to maintain the appearance of service even though automated devices have been installed. For example, some hotels with automatic elevators have continued to hire personnel to run the elevators. Guests are still given a high level of service using more modern and efficient equipment than the older manual elevators. The technological capacity to automate grows daily, and the tourism and hospitality industry will have to determine the extent to which it should use the technology. Next is smoking or non-smoking areas. As more and more customers of tourism and hospitality entities demand smoke-free areas for dining and smoke-free sleeping accommodations, the industry will continue to exert efforts to meet these demands. This is specifically true in places in which legislation orders that appropriate facilities be made available. Hence, restaurants apportion sections of their dining facilities to accommodate the request of non-smokers. Some even install or improve ventilation equipment. Many lodging establishments have set aside accommodations for non-smokers. In some hotels, smoking is prohibited in the lobbies, corridors, elevators, and other areas. Airlines have also established non-smoking areas. The prohibition of smoking in tourism and hospitality enterprises is an issue that is of increasing importance to owners and managers in the coming years. Next is sanitation and public health. A very important issue in food service is sanitation. Everybody agrees that all steps should be taken to prevent illnesses that are caused by the manner in which food is handled or to the food itself, especially now that we have this COVID-19 pandemic. So proper food handling has always been an issue in the industry. Managers must always be sure that food is bought from responsible vendors. Food must be kept at suitable temperatures to prevent the growth of bacteria. It should be placed under proper conditions to prevent infestation by insects or rodents. The surfaces of equipment must be cleaned very well to ensure that food is not contaminated during preparation. Washing is a necessity in food service, such as the washing of the hands of the employees. You may apply the happy birthday song. So the washing of the fresh food to remove chemical residue, as well as the thorough washing of china, glassware, flatware, pots, and pans that are used in the preparation and service of food and beverages. National and local governments apply strict sanitary standards to food and beverage operations. Some conduct regular inspections and apply sanctions on those found violating the regulations. The sanctions range from imposing fines, publishing lists of violators in newspapers, and closing the establishment of consistent violators. To ensure compliance with local sanitary codes, many food and beverages operators hire consultants to conduct regular inspections and to help in the immediate correction of any violation. As consumers become more aware of the potential harm brought about by improperly handled food, preventing possible violations of local codes will be a significant issue to food and beverage operators. Next, we have here is recycling solid waste. So in previous years, there has been a gradual closing of the landfills that were used for disposing solid wastes and a growing awareness of the harmful effects of either burning solid waste or dumping into the sea. This has resulted in major waste disposal problems in some places. In some cities, the cost of removing solid wastes is increasing to the extent that government and citizens are unable to pay. In many of these areas, separating recyclable plastic, glass, and other items from other solid wastes greatly decreases the quantities that require disposal. So, the trend toward recycling is likely to increase. Many in the tourism and hospitality industry who have not been previously affected by this issue will eventually find it necessary to adopt a recycling program, especially the 3R: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Next is we have here the consumer affairs issues. The consumer affairs issues are fire, safety, truth in menus, and diet or nutrition or health. So first is fire safety. It has always been an important issue in the tourism and hospitality industry. In earlier centuries, taverns, inns, and hotels, which were usually constructed of wood, were regularly destroyed by fire. Many were burned to the ground, and a large number of people were killed or crippled. During the 20th century, hotels, motels, and other lodging establishments have instituted many changes, among which are improvements in design and construction, as well as improvements in the fire control systems installed in buildings. Examples are electronic smoke detectors, automatic systems to summon fire departments, better sprinkler systems, and so on. Because of these systems, people became safer. However, a number of dangers associated with fire remains to be considered. In case of fire, guests in hotels and other lodging operations may face danger from the toxic smoke resulting from the burning of furniture, fixtures, and fibers produced from man-made materials. In a fire, many of the artificial fibers used in wall coverings, carpets, draperies, and upholstery produce toxic fumes that can be more dangerous than the fire itself. Another problem is related to the construction. In recent years, new buildings were well insulated to decrease heating and cooling expenses. In some buildings, windows were not designed to be opened. Temperature and air were controlled by very complicated central systems. In case of fire in such buildings, there is a danger that smoke may spread quickly throughout the building. At present, individual room ventilation is installed to preempt the danger. Next is truth in menus. For food service operators, preparing truthful menus is an ethical practice that should never be violated. However, a small minority have produced menus that are not accurate indicators of the food served in their establishments. Some serve U.S. choice beef when their menu states U.S. prime beef. Others serve portions with fewer ounces than the number listed in the menu. Still, others have not used the actual ingredients suggested by their menus and have substituted one product for another, such as turkey for chicken, margarine for butter, generic products for name brands, and domestic products for imported ones. In some areas, consumer production laws have been passed so that those who violate the regulations risk fines and loss of licenses. It is important that those in the tourism and hospitality industry conduct their operations ethically in order that consumers will have complete faith in the truth of their menus, the wholesomeness of their food, and the honesty of their business practices. So next is diet, nutrition, and health. Since the public is very much concerned about healthy diets containing less fat and lesser calories, many food service operators are adjusting their menus to the changing public tastes. Some are devoting sections of their menus to food for the diet conscious. Others are assigning certain menu items for those interested in food that is low in sodium and cholesterol. An increasing number of restaurants exert efforts to attract health-conscious diners. Some have eliminated unhealthy food from their menus. The trend to healthier dining will surely continue. Successful food service operators will have to give greater attention to the nutritional content of food in the years to come. So now let's go to the future of tourism and hospitality. So the World Travel and Tourism Council forecasts that travel and tourism will grow at 40% to 50% in the next 10 years. This tremendous increase presents great challenges and career opportunities for tourism and hospitality graduates nowadays. According to John Naisbitt, the futurist, the global economy of the 21st century will be propelled by three super service industries, namely telecommunications, information technology, and travel and tourism. So, the following tourism and hospitality items are but a few examples of the wave of the future. So we have here increased speed and shopping use of the internet in developed countries. So now people are very particular in using Wi-Fi when they visit a destination. Extended reach in less developed countries. Improved security of personal information, especially now that we have the Data Privacy Act. Next is robotic labor sources. Most of our food establishments nowadays, you can just order online, or you can have somebody online like a Autobot that could get your order. Even airlines also do that when you do your airline reservations. So reservation systems with more sophisticated, voice-activated, and artificial intelligence. Like in Cebupac and Philippine Airlines, they have their Autobots who can get your reservations. Next is improved navigational systems for rental cars, electronic entertainment venues in rental cars and on planes and cruise ships, upgrading internet, personal digital assistants for operations, marketing mass customization, comprehensive branding campaigns for large and small operators, virtual online customer communication, just-in-time seats or rooms or car inventories, electronic travel agents, blended hybrid accommodations, global anti-terrorist microchip security systems. Here in the Philippines, we now have this national ID system that we are going to implement, I think, this year. Next is more nutritional fast food offerings, emphasis on ecotourism, and improved customer relationship marketing information. Alright, so travel and tourism and hospitality will eventually grow tremendously in the global economy of the 21st century. But we are expecting that, I guess, a few years after we recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. So that ends our discussion. Any question, you may ask it to your professor. See you!